Gentlemen, the time has come once again to discuss things.
The Batman Beyond stuff has been quite good.
I've heard Future Ed.
Oh, Future Ed does stuff. But the main Batman stuff isn't bad.
Ready to record this motherfucker, gentlemen?
Yeah, sure. Hi everyone, welcome to this week's episode of Geeky Gentlemen. I am Sid2. Joining me today is MelanJeffTick1992 and Steve Baxi. Hello, gentlemen.
Hey.
I'm a high motherfucker, and I have some shit to say about this fucking movie. Holy crap.
Is that a good thing or a bad
See,
thing? I can't tell.
Here's the thing. I really hope that Milan gets arrested for, drug possession someday, and that they use episodes of the show and his Twitter account and his own channel to just prove that he's been doing drugs. Like, they don't even need a drug test.
Oh, ha, 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 you horrible man.
Well,
how dare you criticize me?
Out of this.
Mm-hmm.
I have some good news for you out of this.
Oh?
You'll go to prison and finally get it up the butt.
Yay! Wondrous! I forgot about anal rape. One of the benefits of being gay.
There's so much there to unpack.
Yeah,
oh my
yeah.
god.
Mm.
Anyway.
Yeah. This movie's a sack of shit. Literally, a sack of shit comprised of sacks of shit.
Like if a sack of shit took a shit and then put that shit in a sack, that would be the no.
That's precisely correct. Thank you for reading Thanks for reading what's on my heart, Ian. You delightful bitch. I love you.
All right, so we know Milan's opinion. Steve, why don't you give us your opinion?
I really like this movie. It's the exact opposite of yours.
Mm-hmm.
It's got a problem of I don't think the actors are aware of what they're making. But I think what it's doing is quite effective and quite fascinating. And I think there's... Because I wrote a paper on this movie before. I think there's a very interesting direct contrast between this and Batman Begins in terms of how this movie uses fear.
Okay.
And by technicalities and how horror genre works, I think this is a really good film to break down the horror genre with.
Mm.
Okay.
I like it.
For me, I'm right in the middle here. This is going to be a really good discussion, I can tell.
Awesome.
I see exactly where Milan's coming from. I know exactly what a lot of the problems with this movie are, and I don't think it's what you said, Steve, but I'll let you elaborate on that more later.
Mm-hmm.
I think this movie has a lot of problems, but there's a lot of interesting stuff here, and so I think that I think the best thing I can say about this movie is it could be saved with an edit. So yeah.
Agreed.
That's my general thoughts. So let's go ahead and get into this. Milan, why is this movie a sack of shit?
Well, to be most frank, I am a huge fan of the original novel. And I know most moviegoers, or at least anyone who is in any kind of pop culture adaptation, knows this. You shouldn't be afraid of change from, transition of a piece of work. And I'm like, look, it got the whole point of the story wrong, and it started this whole fucking vampire Dracula as your boyfriend type of a thing. Anne Rice came up with it first, but this is the movie that really cemented that idea in the mind of the recently burgeoning fangirl internet culture. And I'm like, fuck you, Dracula is a bad motherfucker. And this turns him into a tragic Romeo. What the fuck?
I really agree with you there. I think the biggest problem I have with this movie, and I was texting Bill about this because I read the book in high school. I was texting Bill about this to confirm it for me. Yeah, here's what pisses me off about this movie, and I think it's the biggest problem. The title of the movie is Bram Stoker's Dracula, and I'm going to say that again. Bram Stoker's Dracula. And I'm going to say that one more time. Bram Stoker's Dracula. So in a movie that's called Bram Stoker's Dracula, you know what you should probably do? Tell the story that Bram Stoker did when he wrote Dracula, but in a movie. This, however, adds its own, like, made-up history and completely, like, just changes characters around like crazy. Completely. And motivations entirely.
Yeah, completely undercuts the whole meaning of Dracula. And that whole fucking... because of this movie, Jonathan Harker is the most shit-on fucking character ever. It makes the whole troupe that go after Dracula fucking boring. You know, you got Mina Harker, who is a bad bitch in the book. She's a liberated woman of the 1880s. She uses a typewriter. Yeah, that's right. You know, step back, bitch. I've got a typewriter. And she actually loves her husband. When I first read this book, right, I fell in love with Jonathan Harker, not on a sexual way, just as a guy. Because what do you see? He's just this fucking, 25-year-old, you know, just, like recently, you know, a guy who's going to get married. He loves his girl. He's going through, you know, Eastern Europe on a business trip. He's like, and the story starts out, if you really don't know anything about Dracula and just read the novel, like, just completely forget all the pop cultural, you know, relevance of Dracula and just read it as a book. And the beginning of the book is rather, like, it's not what you think. Everyone always, you know, paints Transylvania as this place being haunted by devils and werewolves. But not really. The book starts out with Jonathan fucking loving Transylvania. And, you know, like, he's, like, writes down, like, oh, I stopped at this fucking inn. The people are so colorful and cool. Like, I'm gonna save like a recipe for Mina to write for cook for me when I get home. And just really cute shit like that. Just he's always fucking talking about Mina and how much he fucking loves her. And it's just like it's a young man with a career who's got his shit together and who's like he misses his young she's not his wife by that point, but young fiance, and it's fucking relatable. And like once when he gets to Dracula's place, it's still fucking beautiful, but Transylvania at night isn't the beautiful open place that it is by day. By night, it's around Dracula's castle in that particular area, in like on the very outskirts of the country. Go
on.
Yeah.
Please.
Sorry. Okay. But essentially, Jonathan Harker is an actual character that you sympathize with, thus making the villainy of Dracula more badass. Because Dracula, in the beginning, really isn't that scary. He's an intimidating ex-warrior type of guy, like your uncle, like your Slavic uncle that has the glint of "I've killed a man" in his eyes, you know, like ex-military dudes. The really old Slavic. Yeah, okay. Like, and Dracula has fucking. He's a bad motherfucker. He feeds Jonathan Harker. He's really polite. Obviously, he's really regal old dude. He's respectful. You respect Dracula as a guy. You associate with him as just like an older guy who knows his shit. And it's the gradual weirdness of his stay there that reveals slowly that Dracula is a bad motherfucker. And he's a manipulator. He's Satan, essentially. And they lose that.
I agree.
And they lose that completely in the movie. And they make him, like, the whole scene in the beginning with Harker and Dracula humanizes Dracula, but in a masculine way. It makes him a force to be reckoned with. In this movie, they make him the tragic foil, and they make Neo fucking Jonathan Harker. They get a guy who literally has negative 1,000% of charisma to play a guy that you have to fall in love with in the beginning of the film. You get a guy who's completely, like, of course you're not gonna have the hot English girl go for fucking this guy. He's a fucking Munich. He has no charm whatsoever. And that this movie's a piece of shit. I'm sorry.
Let Steve have a chance.
Go ahead. Sorry.
I guess I'll start by countering you a little bit, and simply that I agree that there's a problem that we call this Bram Stoker's Dracula, because this is not Bram Stoker's Dracula at all, as you've gotten into. This is tonally opposite and character-wise opposite.
This is the shit Harlequin romance version of Dracula.
Well, hang on. I'm not going to go that far. I'm just saying that this is on the opposite spectrum of what Bram Stoker was doing, so you shouldn't call it Bram Stoker's Dracula. That's an issue. At the same time, Dracula's way more interesting in this movie than Bram Stoker made him. Bram Stoker, in a lot of ways, made Dracula a really cool idea. But he didn't do much to make him a character. The character was Jonathan Harker, but the character in this movie isn't John. John's barely in this movie. He's in there for like 15 minutes altogether. Dracula's the character. Dracula has lots of dimensions in this. There's ideas of addiction in here. There's ideas of damnation and whether or not luck plays into your ultimate fate. There's ideas about utilizing fear and how one's theatricality is encapsulated and everything else. There's lots of encompassing shots that make Dracula not only a force of nature, but also just a person that's far more interesting than the simple idea of Dracula. And it doesn't give you his backstory is so much that you can understand why he's doing what he's doing, but it gives you enough mystery to realize that when he does something, he gets it his way, and it's really fascinating when he starts fixating on people. The performances from Jonathan Harker particularly are terrible. Keanu Reeves is not a good actor in this movie at all. He has no charm. He's playing it straight, everyone else is playing it like a cartoon. It's a really weird contrast. But Dracula and the directing of the movie, I think, really make it go above what you're saying. It's not the book, we get that. But it's the movie. It's a very different thing, and I think what it's doing as far as analyzing the horror genre really works.
But the thing is there.
You went on for like 10 minutes, and then Steve got to go on. Let me get a chance here. All right. So, Steve, I see what you're saying, and Milan, I'm inclined to agree with you more, just not to the same amount of rage and hatred you have of the movie. Because, I mean, I cannot hate this movie simply because Gary Oldman just makes it work for me.
Yeah.
Gary Oldman is a bad motherfucker. Yeah.
Yeah, as much as I don't like the fact that this is not, once again, Bram Stoker's Dracula. Seriously, I can just spend the whole review saying that over and over again. Like, that's just the dumbest thing to me, to name it that and not do it. But, like, I think that the one thing the movie gets right from the book is, and I think this is, like, a very important thematic part of the book that the movie gets right, and maybe even emphasizes, is the idea of repressed sexuality. I too, Steve, wrote a paper about this book about this movie at one point. Movie and the book, actually, wherein I was discussing how the vampirism and all that stuff was really just a metaphor for repressed sexuality in the Victorian age. And there is a lot of evidence to that. I should have reread that paper before doing this video, but oh well. But yeah, the whole drinking of blood and everything, it's just a taboo that's being explored, and it's very intimate and stuff. So this movie really does go with that, and there's a lot of like kind of trippy scenes where we're not sure if it's really happening or if it's like drug induced or what, or not drug induced, but you know what I mean.
A little more psychedelic.
Like when Mina and Lucy kiss in the garden, that like isn't addressed fully at all, but it's like this repressed sexual thing. And then there's the scene earlier where she looks at Arabian Nights and sees the pornographic imagery, and she acts disgusted, but then she looks at it more closely, and and there's a lot of hinting that it's about this, like, you know, oh, properly, no, I think sex is disgusting and crude and everything. But then there's a lot of, like, the undercurrent of it is, yeah, I'm, like, so fascinated by this thing, I have no idea what it's like. But I want to know, because I've heard about it in whispers all my life and stuff. And I think that's what the vampirism serves as a metaphor for. And it's a little hit over the head in this movie compared to the book, but I think it's definitely there in both of them. So
oh, definitely.
I think that he gets that part right.
Definitely. It's a very... I'm not, like, as much as I hate this film, how it, like, stays completely... Like, it's not the book completely, I agree. And it essentially turns Dracula into every other Anne Ricey type of vampire ever. Oh, I want... but the thing is, it's a movie that's hard to hate. Even though I do hate it, it just has this... it has this artistry. It's fucking Coppola. Of course, it's gonna have some level of appreciation in it. I mean, visually, metaphorically, like you were saying, the whole subtle, well, not subtle, extreme delusions, artistic representations of sexual repression, all that stuff is fantastic. But, you had that in the book as well, but the book was a little bit more subtle about it. This kind of takes that whole, this whole movie turns this whole story into a study of repressed sexuality. And and Steve, I kind of really disagree with the whole luck thing, because the whole idea of destiny and, falling in love and all that shit, that's kind of the backbone of this whole relationship that Dracula has with, Mina. But the thing, and that's what I don't like, Dracula in the book, Gary Oldman is fucking amazing. It's Gary Oldman, and but the thing is, he's so ridiculous. They just made him look completely different from what he is in the book, and I think that was intentional. And maybe they were trying to differentiate this Dracula from every other version, and I can appreciate that. But the Dracula in the books is really described as this really tall, broad-shouldered ex-soldier type of guy with these long, fucking meaty hands that look like they should rip men to pieces. And the thing is, I really want to see a Russian company do a Dracula film, because you only get you only get the Westerners' view on Eastern Europe Dracula, the whole weird gypsy thing, oh, Dracula, ooh-ah. But in the book, you could tell Bram Stoker actually went to the fucking place. He actually soaked in the culture and the type of people there. And I really want to see an actual book-accurate Dracula, because there's never been a book-accurate Dracula on film. You had interesting actors doing their own thing with it, but not Dracula. Because fucking Dracula, he does this awesome racially motivated speech like, the blood that runs through my veins has also flowed through the body of Attila the Hun. He goes on this, long, history of his race, and how, the Slavs are, the ultimate warriors, and, fear us puny...
There's a little bit of that in the beginning of the movie.
It's so fucking... Because he's just this weird...
Okay, I don't think I agree with that at all, because that's in the movie. All of that's in the movie. He may not look like the book character, but what you're saying is in the movie.
He pulls out the sword on Jonathan Harker
he pulls out the sword.
Gives that whole speech.
Yeah, it's not the whole speech.
Yeah, his whole character about this movie is that he's a guy with a lot of pride.
No, he's a guy who's really horny and who wants to fuck the wife. I'm gonna fuck your girlfriend. I'm gonna fuck your girlfriend, Dracula. Dracula essentially becomes... He even said,
he has this great exchange where he says, do you think you can destroy me with your items? I who served the cross, I who condemned nations hundreds of years before you were born? He's really theatrical. He really is proud of himself.
Yeah,
and part of the reason he's so much after the things he's after is that he's got a sense of pride and accomplishment that he wants to maintain.
Definitely, you have that, but it's fucking Gary Oldman. In the beginning, he essentially looks like a transvestite. That whole scene with the sword is undercut because he looks and sounds like a fucking Slavic transsexual. I mean, what the fuck is this?
I disagree with that.
He wears a dress. He's in a fucking nightgown, and he has his hair all
really different. Pay attention to the way Dracula moves in this movie. You never see him walk. He's always floating. He's always flying. He's always appearing out of nowhere. He's got this lavish look to him, whether he's in this fake human stage or in his older stage or in his monster stage.
Yes. Dracula is
the monster stage. I love the second monster stage.
Yeah.
At a certain, the first time we see him as the monster, I'm confused as to when this became a Wolfman movie.
If you want to see him, look, girls, boys, if you want to see a movie where a werewolf fucks a girl in a graveyard, watch this film.
Right? That's probably my nitpick of the movie is Dracula's monster form. The second time when Jonathan Harker and Van Helsing all walk in on him on Mina feeding off of him. That monster form looks fucking awesome, but when he's a werewolf, I'm like, what the fuck? Why is Dracula a werewolf?
The thing with that is, the whole dark mythology of Eastern Europe, vampires, werewolves, witches, all demons, all that stuff. The thing is, the West really likes to categorize shit, and really like, okay, this is a vampire, this is a werewolf. There's very specific ways of how you deal with these things. But in like traditional folklore, but in but just to rehash this. But in traditional Slavic folklore, all these things are kind of the same thing. In the book, it describes him turning into a gigantic wolf. There's no specific laws. It's the weird otherness that makes them.
If you're gonna keep anything from the book, why would you keep that?
Because it's weird. Because that's the whole point. The horror of the werewolf, the horror of the vampire, I think is undercut if you describe it so completely. If you have set rules to a monster, that means they're limited.
No, I'm not saying set rules.
Well, no, they did set rules, like culturally speaking.
Well, I don't think he does that in this movie, though, right? Like,
no.
This movie has this very deliberate thing of we see Dracula get made, but we don't know anything about the way his powers work. The fear comes in the fact that the shots are really long. We have to take in all of the scenery, and then we see Dracula just destroy the physics of the scenery we saw. He does things that we can't possibly explain, despite giving us all the rational information that could possibly be able to do it. And that's what kind of makes it terrifying.
Exactly. Fuck, Steve, you beautiful motherfucker. God, I like you now. At first I was all kind of, ugh, it's just another Ian with less personality, but now I'm like, fuck yeah. You're a bad motherfucker, Stephen Baxi. Holy shit.
Yeah, but I mean, that's why I like the movie, is the fact that it does that really well.
Yeah, you're a bad motherfucker, but I completely agree with you. I mean, holy shit, you just read what was written on my heart and made it actually cohesive. Thank you. Fuck.
Anyway, no, like, I guess I get that. I don't know, just to get back to the werewolf thing real quick, I just feel like if you're gonna take liberties with the thing, then take liberties that, make sense. And don't try to say, well, we're book accurate in this way, when your whole fucking subplot of, like, the entire thing of Lucy and Mina is so fucking switched around and crazy and just completely off from the book that it's its own thing by that point. And the whole thing about Mina being, this, like, reincarnated thing, and Dracula being this old prince that's, like, been resurrected and stuff. No, that's not in the book. I'm sorry, it's not.
But I mean, why does it matter so much, though, right? Like, this is an adaptation of the book. If it's not in the book, if it's not in the film, then why not? It's not like it makes the film worse for it.
No, I just feel like if you're going to change so much, then why keep something that's so irrelevant and just gets really confusing?
I mean, but, like, the thing about this movie is that you can watch this movie or you can read the book. There's no aspect of this movie that would be better served if you read the book, which is why I think it works. Like, it's not trying to be a direct adaptation.
Yes, it is, because it's got Bram Stoker's Dracula in the title.
Yeah, it's a stupid name for the title, but from the very opening scene, this isn't the book. Jonathan Harker is hardly in this movie. It takes a totally different path with Dracula's character.
I know, but the thing is with that is, this film is fucking advertised as Bram Stoker. Why didn't they just call it Scorsese's Dracula? Just fucking be honest and call it Scorsese's weird Harlequin romance version of Dracula. Kinda. That's the new title of this fucking movie. Fuck you, Rotten Tomatoes. That's what it is. Fuck you, Wikipedia. Change it. Change to my domain. Change to what I have.
I mean, I agree the title's a problem. The title's a really stupid thing to do. But it's even when you watch it out of that context, I think it still works because it's not being the book.
Well, no, here's the thing. The book, and it was written, 200 years ago now, so it's allowed to do this. The book does not have what I guess I would call ideal pacing.
Yeah, it does.
It's a book. It really takes its time, and it's allowed to do that. Modern pacing wasn't invented yet. It can do whatever the hell it wants. So, I think it's a problem that they're adapting some of the book fairly closely, or at least they're working around some of the original plot as like a basic outline, and then trying to throw in modern conventions and modern ideas into it. And it just creates this really weird, disjointed mess so that it doesn't work on its own. So you have to know the book to watch it, and then once you know the book to watch it, it doesn't work because it's not the book.
See, I don't really agree with that, though.
It's not. This isn't, like, hold on, let me get this last thought out. This isn't Kenneth Branagh's Hamlet. This is Francis Ford Coppola's Dracula, but he just put Bram Stoker's name on it because he's, to be fair, the only person that's done anything close to the book.
That's true.
Yeah,
he actually. Yeah.
The point I just want to disagree with there is that you don't need the book to watch this movie. I don't see really what you're saying there, because I watched this movie before I read the book. And sure, the book is superior in a lot of ways, but it's also got a lot of the same problems. So,
no, I think,
as far as this film goes, introducing those modern conventions, all of those ideas that are in this film that wouldn't have worked back when the book was being published are there because it's trying to be a very distinct horror movie. It's trying to get those gothic architectures right. It's trying to get those scenes of Dracula breaking the conventions of how the world works and why everyone's acting so over the top, because it is kind of an over the top movie, and it's trying to make you uncomfortable in that sense. It's trying to make sure you understand the context of this very firmly, so when something scary or something psychedelic happens, it works on that level. I don't think you really need the book.
All right, let me go back to something you just said. You said you don't need the book to watch this, and I guess I'd agree. No, wait, my bad. I'm quoting the wrong part of your argument that you just made. You said that, and now I just lost it again. Hold on. It's coming back.
My little brother is playing Spyro the Dragon.
Oh, cool.
I love that game.
The book has a lot of the same problems as the movie. I agree, it does. But that's why I said the book was allowed to have those problems. It was written 200 years ago. The movie isn't allowed to adapt those problems if it's going to throw in modern conventions anyway. That's the problem with it. The movie carries over a lot of the pacing issues from the book, and normally that wouldn't be a problem if you're doing a direct scene-for-scene adaptation the way Kenneth Branagh and, what's his name? The guy that did Moulin Rouge and Romeo and Juliet, Baz Luhrmann. If you're doing what they did with Shakespeare, where they're doing every line on screen, then you're allowed to have problems like that. This movie, if you're going to change it and throw in modern conventions, then you're not allowed to have those problems anymore. I'm sorry. If you're going to change it. If you're going to change it to fit modern conventions, then it has to be changed universally to fit modern conventions. So the only reason you would watch this movie, logically at least, the only reason you would want to watch this movie is if you knew the book. But if you know the book, then you watch this movie, and the movie falls apart because it's not close enough to the book anymore. The plot's completely different.
Okay, but it has those pacing issues that it carries over from the book, but I don't see how you make the connection of, well, then you'd have to read the book. Like, I don't see how those 2 points connect.
Well, no, it has those pacing issues, so I don't see
why would you want to migrate to the book if it has the same issues? Like, I don't see how those two...
Because the book has history. You read the book more as canon than as entertainment nowadays.
Yeah,
right.
definitely.
Like, this is a different Dracula, so it in its own right, it's allowed to have its own canon.
Yeah, the thing is with me, I agree. As a Bram Stoker Dracula, it's completely, it's ridiculous. But as taken, like, if you would take the idea of the author being dead, and you can reinterpret something any way you fucking want and change the story, then sure. As a movie as itself, as a fucking wacky vampire movie set in the 1880s, fuck yeah. Bram Stoker, Van Helsing, fucking Odin as Van Helsing as Hannibal Lecter. Oh my god, everyone is such a fucking perv in this movie. Everyone's such a fucking pervert, holy shit. He's he's always just like,
I guess I'm just having a hard time trying to communicate this idea.
Everyone wants to get into everyone wants to get into fucking Mina Murray's little panties. Holy shit.
Okay, no, dude, shut up. I'm trying to
bitch.
figure out how to communicate this idea, because I do feel like I'm talking in circles, but I'm just having a hard time figuring out how to make it connect. So, like, I feel like there's no point, rather, as opposed to you have to read the book to watch the movie. I feel like there's no point in watching the movie since it's got all these classical pacing issues, or these issues that are carried over because it's adapting something classical. I don't feel like there's a point in watching the movie unless you were to read the books, and there's no point in watching the movie after reading the books because the movie isn't the book. Does that make more sense?
Yeah, I guess that makes a little bit of sense. Because... okay, let me just make sure I'm getting this right. You don't think, like, the movie justifies its own existence well enough?
At times it does, but overall, no.
Okay, but that's my thing, is I think it does. I think
it's worth a watch, but I don't think it's, like, a good movie.
Well, I guess we'll get into the good bad thing later, but as far as justifying its own existence, I think it does that really well, though, because this movie is all in the directing. The movie is all in the style of it, and the story is really just a really loose framework to make this very visual analysis of Dracula, and why he works as an enduring character, and why he's truly frightening. And a lot of that does come from the way the film is shot and the way Dracula is presented. We see his monster face, we see the way he's able to break the laws of physics, we see that he's got this very strange contradiction about him, that he's really proud of who he is, but yet he still calls what he is condemned to hell, and the fact that he would never relegate anyone else that he cared about to what he is, despite loving it. So I feel like I feel like he's a more three-dimensional character, and we get that through the way the film is made. So I think the problems it carries from the book are definitely there. It's not the book. In a lot of ways, it's not as good as the book. But at the same time, I think it's a good movie in its own right because it's doing a lot with the Dracula character that doesn't get done ever before. Because Dracula's always seen as like he's either this really pompous, legendary, I am the best kind of guy figure, almost like a classic Roger Moore, James Bond, where nothing can happen to this guy because he's Dracula. Or he's done in the Bram Stoker fashion of, he really is just a force of nature and idea. In this film, the guy's a character. And we don't see that.
Yeah, the thing is, we get that in the book as well. He's a truly three-dimensional character, but he's also scary. There's enough mystery about him that he's seen as kind of otherworldly and kind of fucked up. He's in the shadow. But in this movie, they overhumanize him too much. That's why you understand him completely. It's a Dracula character study. And thus, that kind of undercuts the whole point of Dracula and makes him not scary anymore. Because it's Dracula, you're rooting for him now. Fucking, sure, Van Helsing is cool, and Mina Murray.
It turns Van Helsing into the villain, kind of, doesn't it?
Not in the villain. No, it doesn't. It doesn't turn him into a villain. It makes him into it's a little bit more gray. It's just a conflict of interest between two parties.
Yeah, I gotcha.
Between two parties you agree with. But the thing is...
Okay, let me get in on something you just said real quick there. So, the book is written, and we discussed this in a video that didn't get posted because of an audio error.
It was such a good video, though.
Yeah, the book is written in that style of, I guess what I'd call found footage on text, where it's found diaries.
Yeah, epistolary, I think that's the word.
Yeah, H.P. Lovecraft did that as well. Well, not all the time. Yeah. Call of Cthulhu.
But I think you get a real good sense of Dracula's character in the book because of how everyone describes him when they're talking about him. Like, I remember one of the most terrifying scenes in the book is when Jonathan Harker sees the young Dracula as he's, just recovering from what he thinks is his madness. He sees the young Dracula walking the streets of London, and he's just horrified by that. And the movie has that, and it even shows that Keanu Reeves is horrified. But
oh my god! The beast has grown young!
Yeah, that's the problem. It's Keanu Reeves is horrified. We're not horrified, and Jonathan Harker's damn sure not horrified, because we don't relate to Jonathan Harker. So I think the problem that the movie has in translating Dracula's character from the book, and why it has to create its own version of Dracula's character, and we can argue whether or not that's a valid version. No, it's a valid version. We can argue whether or not that's a version we needed to see.
A successful version, perhaps.
Yeah. So, I think the problem that the movie has is that it doesn't do, and fair enough, it doesn't do enough narration from the character's perspective about what they think of Dracula. Because everyone's talking about Dracula, even when they don't know they're talking about Dracula in the book. They're constantly bringing him up and referencing him. In the movie, he's, around in a lot of the scenes, but we don't get a sense of what other people think of him. We're drawing our own conclusions because we're actually relating to Dracula, and that's not what's happening in the book at all. We're afraid of Dracula in the book because everyone else is afraid. Everything we're reading about Dracula in the book is terrifying.
Yeah, that's the whole point of making your villain badass. The thing is, if you make everyone in your cast talk about that villain, it builds up the psychological, fear about the character. That's why Voldemort apparently is another great example. You got 5 books of building, is it 5 or 3?
Can I throw in real quick?
Yeah. You get but before I just want to get this thought out of my head before.
Yeah, sure.
Basically, that's why Voldemort works the same way. You have literally four books. Where he's built up to this this is a bad motherfucker. Voldemort
And then he shows up as like a creepy baby.
Yeah, but that's not a creepy baby. He shows up as a fucking mangled fetus monster, man. That's fucked up. And he's like, yeah, he does. And he's all like, I want the bone of my enemy, of my father, and the blood of my enemy to reform into something cohesively human. That's fucked up. That's mystery paid off. That's the horror aspect. But that's the thing.
I don't remember.
That's why Darkseid's such a badass, because everyone's like,
yeah.
Bad motherfucker.
I don't remember the book specifically, but I know there's this great scene in a comic book at one point where it's Harley and the Joker, and Lex Luthor had formed another Injustice League or something like that, but Joker wasn't in it this time. And Harley asked him, "Why didn't Lex invite you?" And he goes, when bad guys get together... Yeah, hold on, let me back that up again. When good guys get together, they tell bad guy stories. When bad guys get together, they tell Joker stories. And that's very true, because that's the kind of thing you talk about. It's like, dude, that guy's fucked up. He's not joining this team.
Yeah. I mean, that's kind of yeah.
He has that air about him, and I mean, that's one of the great things in in Batman Begins and The Dark Knight is you get to hear the street thugs talking about Batman and bringing up all the horrible things that he's able to do. Can he really fly?
And the thing, you get the same thing with the Joker, at least very briefly in The Dark Knight. And it's like, who is this guy? He wears fucking makeup. Makeup? Yeah, like war paint. And it's just really brief thing. It's not a lot, but just enough to who the fuck is this guy? And then when he just shows up, it's kind of underhandedly sweeps the legs underneath the viewer. It's like, holy shit, this guy's fucked.
Yeah, I mean, the whole reason The Dark Knight works so well with the Joker is because we're constantly seeing people not take that guy seriously as a force to be reckoned with. And then he finally does something, and that's what makes him terrifying. We can't relate to him, we didn't trust him before, we didn't care about him, and then he just subverts everyone's expectations.
Exactly, everyone.
And that's what you do in a joke, which is what's brilliant about
it.
Exactly. But that's the thing. If you're a young writer or whatever, if you're writing a villain... listen to this video. You'll learn how to write a villain. The main and most important thing is build up, and but of course you gotta have something good to pay them off with. If you don't, the payoff is great, but you can make that payoff even better if you got a good fucking lead up. You know what I'm saying, brother?
And then there's a very big bear trap to watch out for, which is make sure your villain's just as badass as his build up. Because that can always be so disappointing.
Yeah, definitely.
Yes, very true.
You can either go the whole Doctor Doom, complete badass motherfucking armor type of thing, or you can go kind of weird subversion like Monster. It's this manga, or the Joker. Who the fuck is the Joker? He's a skinny guy in a clown suit. Oh, this skinny guy in a clown suit's gonna fucking tear your world upside down.
No, I'm trying to think of a good example of something that had a lot of really great build-up, and then when the villain was finally revealed, it was like, fuck this.
Blofeld.
Blofeld? Okay.
Blofeld. You only live twice.
Bill would disagree with you, but okay.
Well, I don't know, because we have all that build-up for Spectre and Blofeld behind the chair, and when we finally get the actor in the seat, he doesn't exactly convey the idea we got of him.
Hello,
that's fair.
Hello. I nearly said.
I'm not saying he was bad or anything. I'm saying, but it does. There is a disconnect between the build-up and what we get there.
Yeah. It's a fat guy with a face scar and a cat, and a jumpsuit.
Well, this isn't a good example of a villain, but so I'm rewatching, or I'm not rewatching. I'm finally watching the final season of How I Met Your Mother. Not necessarily proud of that, but I was bored. Netflix was around. It had 8 seasons, so it was something I could watch consecutively while I was doing other shit. And I gotta tell you, one of the best moments of build-up I've ever seen is the final episode of season 8. Because there's this plot thread about this yellow umbrella that's introduced in season 2, and it gets a little bit of payoff in season 5, and then at the end of season 8 you see some woman's feet walking up in a line, and then you see a yellow umbrella sit by them, and then the camera pans up, and you finally see her, and all the actress says is, "Hi, I'd like a ticket to Farhampton." It's like the most amazing moment of payoff, and then I haven't gotten to the end of season 9 yet, but I hear it's like super disappointing.
Well, yeah, I don't want to go into that tangent, but How I Met Your Mother is the only show where the ending actually ruins the rest of the series.
Ah, shit. Okay. Damn.
Yeah.
That's harsh.
I watched the ending, and I tried to go back to the first season, like, well, I can still enjoy this. I couldn't enjoy the first episode, because the joke just didn't work anymore.
All right. Well, give me time.
Okay. Well, let me know what you think of that show.
Yeah, Ian in like a couple of weeks is like, that is the shittest shit. No. Ian is all like, this is the best fucking twist ever. Fuck you, Steve Baxi. And he just it breaks up the Geeky Gentleman. Like the fuck, How I Met Your Mother is gonna be the Yoko in our Beatles. Yeah, that's.
I agree
I
with
just made a
guys
Beatles
about
reference.
build up in this movie because there really isn't any.
Yeah, I
not
mean,
at
Dracula's
all.
on screen like, what, 5 minutes into the film?
Yeah.
Yeah, and when we see him, there isn't much.
Night Dracula, exactly, but
Yeah, the best thing that comes with Dracula is that when he breaks the calm and gets angry, but that's not really frightening build up. We're not really scared of this guy, which is a problem.
Mm-hmm.
And when Van Helsing shows up, it almost plays like Van Helsing's a bit of a nut job. Mm-hmm. And he is, but I'm not really for
the
his
motherfucker believes in vampires. Of course he's a fucking nut job.
Van Helsing is the most cartoony of all of the entire cast, even putting Dracula.
Well, to be fair, Van Helsing's a bit of a cartoon character in the damn book.
No, that's true. That's very true.
I remember I when I was reading the book, I switched between reading and listening to it at different times.
Mm-hmm.
And I think the narrator at one point spent 5 minutes just listing all of Van Helsing's credentials at the end of a letter. Doctor, PhD, professor, like he had like 16 titles that he had to put at the end of each letter. So to the point where Van Helsing is kind of a ridiculous character. It's like if Batman were to sign off of every communication telling you everything that he's amazing at.
Oh, that'd be the longest call. You wouldn't even call Batman after that point.
It wouldn't.
Okay, Batman, martial artist. Yeah, you couldn't, because who would hang out on fucking Batman?
Martial artist, nuclear scientist.
Yeah.
Professional hacker.
Mm-hmm. Okay,
there's just
Batman.
nothing he's bad at.
Yeah.
No. Like here's the other parody you can go with. You go to like the scene in Avengers where it's like, yeah, big man in a suit of armor. You take that off. What are you? And we replace Tony Stark with Batman. And he just goes on for like 10 minutes.
No. Like a man in a suit of armor. You take that away. Who are you? I'm Batman. There you go. Fuck that.
The first thing Batman says in the Batman is "I'm Batman," and that's all.
Yeah.
No, that's why "I'm Batman" is such a badass thing to say, because it's all those titles in just one.
Yeah. Yeah, Batman is a bad motherfucker. I don't care what any of you think. I think Batman's cool.
Batman's the coolest.
You know what? I should make a meme of that, though. Big man in a suit of armor. What? Take that away. What are you? And just like, I'm Batman, and just have underneath that like all the different skills Batman's mastered.
I think someone actually made that.
I want to see it.
Everything ever that's ever been conceived has been turned into a GIF on the internet.
Most likely.
You should watch my video, Bid and Done, and you would get a very good sense of my feelings on that thought. If you got 15 minutes to spare, it's worth your time. Anyway, so, alright, let's get back more to the movie on its own, though. So, I pointed out my nitpick, which is that the fucking werewolf thing just throws me and takes me out, and that's a problem no matter what. If it takes you out of the movie, it's a problem. Because, I mean, up until that point, I'm starting to get into it. There's some lesbian kissing. I'm good.
Fucking, like, the redheaded girl. Like, she gets fucked by a werewolf in a fucking graveyard, dude. That's amazing. So if you've got a redhead fucking werewolf fucking graveyard fetish, go right ahead.
Yeah.
I tried to make the thing is I tried to make the same joke twice by rewording it, and I think I pulled it off. Thank you.
Well, there's that scene, and that's, it's whatever. But the other, like, my reverse of my nitpick, like the really specific thing that I like, and I don't really know why, because it's so inconsequential to the rest of the plot. I really like Renfield in this movie. The actor that they got for that guy is
he's a good actor.
The motherfucking, like, that dude's eyes are so close together, and I'm like, your eyes are too close together. His face is like rat-like, but naturally so, and I'm like, he's got like eraser head hair. I mean, fuck, bro. I want to, like, dude, guys, for my birthday next year, get me that straight jacket because it looks comfortable as a motherfucker. I'm gonna use it as pajamas.
It reminded me of the straitjacket at the end of Batman Forever. Anyway. No, I just, like, it's weird. I just have that, like, oddly specific thing, and it's weird, because Renfield's actually really important in the plot of the book, but in this, he's like, he doesn't make any fucking difference whatsoever. He's just there to eat bugs. And say, I want a kitten.
Yeah, the side characters don't really have much character in this. It really is a movie about Dracula and Mina, and that's about it. Mm-hmm. And sometimes it works, other times it doesn't. Like, I don't think Mina is a very well fleshed out character either. And they spend a lot of time just hanging out with her and getting some of her ideas out, but the actress doesn't play it too well, and she just doesn't have anything interesting to say.
She's just a hot British girl who wants some cock, essentially.
Yeah, more or less, yeah.
Yeah, like, I want some pussy or cock or something like that, yeah.
That's my whole argument for sexual repression, is she just wants to get fucked, and Jonathan's like, oh, we'll have to wait to get married until I'm back from this vacation.
There's actually...
Oh, I'm going to stay another month.
He actually says, I'm impotent with fear. Men who are impotent are funny.
Talk.
Oh, fuck you. It's back, dude. I lost so much weight, and all the fucking fat went into my cock, and it's amazing. It's like tripled in size.
I don't think that's how science works.
I don't know. Like fat people lose the weight, your cock will get bigger. It's all like it's like veiny and throbbing
now you
and
can
big.
just see it.
Oh yeah, it's amazing, dude. I'm so happy. Losing weight is awesome. Being a fat fuck is the worst thing ever. I got muscles now, bro. I got muscles, and like everyone starts to touch my ass again. Like, Samoan guys are coming up to me randomly on the street and feeling up my ass like they used to do in high school. It's amazing.
They ain't bold in that, eh?
Huh?
They ain't bold in that.
No, just big fuck.
It could be my friend saying, like, they told me today, like, oh, we see your brother. I'm like, yeah, just make sure there's nothing else.
Aw, Mickey's, like, big football friends are looking out for me on the street. That's awesome. My little brother's a bad motherfucker out here. You don't...
No.
Yeah, anyway.
I'm just a local fan, and I just know a lot of people.
Yeah. Mickey's a local man, right? He gets his shit right, you know? He's good. He's a good lad.
Well, not fucking English fans.
Steve.
Yes.
Do your job and get us out of this hole, please.
Okay, let's get out of this hole. The music in this film is really effective, I think. It builds the right atmosphere. It has a problem of not being totally memorable. But I think what works with horror movies is that when everything works in context, and it certainly works well in context. Whenever Dracula shows up and we see him in a bit more of a monster or mysterious or misty form, and the music is kind of rising or dimming depending on what he's doing, I think that's very well done.
Okay.
Anyone disagree with that?
I could see that. I don't know. The music didn't really affect me. Let me ask you this, Steve. How many times have you seen this, including this watch?
Might be the fourth time. I had to watch it twice for the paper I wrote. Watched it one time on TV, and then this one time for this.
Okay. Milan, how about you? Is this like your second, third time? Oh, it looks like Milan walked away.
I'm here, motherfuckers. My little brother just showed me something amazing. Oh my god.
Okay, anyway. How many times have you seen this, Milan?
Once, but I have a really good memory.
You've seen it once before this, or now this is your second time?
I mean, like, how many times I've seen it in my life?
Yeah.
I don't know, like 5, 10 times maybe.
Wow.
Seriously?
Okay. Yeah.
Wow.
Well, not 10, like 5, like, I'm like 22, so like about 5 times, like over the stretch of like 25 years.
Okay. For me, I think this is only like the third time I've watched this movie, if that. God. like, we talked about the pacing, and honestly, this movie puts me to sleep.
It's a very,
it just,
yeah.
It's very slow, and like I said, the book is allowed to be slow. It's a fucking book.
Well, I don't think the book's allowed to be slow. Because there's a lot of books that are longer than Bram Stoker's Dracula in the same vein that are not as slow as this. Half the things Stephen King has written, for example.
No, I agree.
The Stand is like
that's
unnecessarily long. Like, if you think, like, read The Stand if you can, because it's just like then the character takes a shit for 3 hours and muses on the nature of man.
I think you're exaggerating that far out of proportion because The Stand is not that slow.
Okay, anyway, no, the movie's just ridiculously slow, and I know
I think it has a good pace.
No, I completely disagree. I think the movie has about the same pace as the book, and the book is slow, but it was written 200 years ago, and is trying to be subtle. You could say a lot of things about this movie, but subtle is not one of them.
I actually like it's more of a funny. I watched this movie while high, surprisingly enough, and it really did work because all the trippy imagery and the lulling storybook aspect. It's a very trippy film. And it's one of those things you sit back and you watch it and you're like a little high, and it takes you on a journey. It's a very subconscious. It really focuses on that kind of. Watch this movie while stoned off your mind. Everything will make sense. It'll make you horny as a motherfucker, but yeah.
Actually, you made me think of one thing talking about the imagery there. Anyone else pick up on the number of times a baby is about to be killed by a vampire?
About to be
Good
killed?
for you.
Yeah, there's like at least 2. There's one with Lucy, and then there's Dracula feeding a baby to his wives.
Yeah. His bitches.
Wasn't there another one?
Ian. Not wives, bitches. Please.
Bitches.
Bitches. Dracula's bitches.
You know who's Dracula I like a lot more than Gary Oldman's, even though it's so ridiculous?
Christopher Lee?
The guy in Van Helsing.
Oh, that guy was basically a Power Ranger villain.
That guy was a...
I don't care. That moment where he finds out that one of his wives was killed, and his wives are like, "Do you not love us? We're just so expendable. Don't worry, I will get another wife."
I'll get a new wife. Oh, I love that guy. He's so great. That movie is awesome. I don't care what anybody says.
It's a Power Ranger movie, but yeah.
Dude, a fucking giant bat monster fights a werewolf at the end. Like, what movies can you say have that? Sure, it's early to... Fuck you. Sure,
I'm not
it's
kidding.
early...
Power Rangers has that. That's totally
Fuck
Power
you.
Rangers.
No. Who hasn't
It's
done...
Hugh Jackman
Well,
in a
Steve, you're the
Power
one
Rangers
that's been
movie
trying to
with
convince us
PG-13
that-
rating.
Steve, you're the one that's been trying to convince us that Power Rangers is this deep intellectual
I didn't
piece
say it was deep intellectual. I said it had moments.
Okay, but most things do.
Steve's gonna write his dissertation.
Oh,
on
I
yeah,
Power Rangers.
totally
like-
could, but that's not...
That's what he's gonna do. Like one day in his college of intellectually inclined youth, the intelligentsia, he'll just step up and say, "I have a 3,000-word essay on how." Well, what's a big number for an essay?
30,000.
35,000 million billion cajillion word essay on how the fucking Power Rangers explain the meaning of life. And he reads it all like on his soapbox out there as fucking people. He becomes the Jesus of Power Rangers. That's what you are.
No, that's Linkara. But
Fuck Linkara. Fuck that little fucking... Linkara,
I like
bitch.
Linkara.
Oh, he's a bitch, motherfucker. Oh,
I
wouldn't
don't
even
agree with him a lot of times, but I like him.
I would sooner let my face be fucked by Predator than listen to this guy's. I mean, how where
the fuck did that even come from?
To get back on topic, maybe.
He's a fucking beta male piece of shit. Holy shit.
How do you guys feel about some of the set design and costume work with this movie? Because I think it did get a lot of praise for that.
It's a...
actually, I think it's awful.
Oh, really?
I
Okay.
think it looks cheesy as shit.
That's
like
interesting.
Milan was talking about Dracula being in a dress. Dracula's totally in a fucking dress.
Remember that fucking Simpsons episode? You know, the Halloween of Horrors episode, where it's Mr. Burns as Dracula, and they're spoofing this film? And it's just like,
no, I don't.
Oh my god, fucking Simpsons spoofed this film, and Mr. Burns is fucking Gary Oldman Dracula, and oh fuck. When I saw that, I'm like, as a little kid, I'm like, what the is that Dracula? Why is he dressed like an old woman? And then when I finally, like a few months later, watched this film, I'm like, holy fuck. This movie gave me so many boners as a kid. Like, really shameful, like werewolf fucks a girl in a graveyard, shameful boners. You know?
It's weird that you guys say that, though, because this thing won 2 Academy Awards for costume design and makeup.
Of course it did. It was awesome.
Well, I can see makeup. Makeup makes sense, but, like, the costume design, I think, is awful. Not that it's not good as far as the tone they're trying to capture. I just think that it's, like, so over the top and ugly, and, yeah. And then there's, like...
Guys. A hot Asian girl with tattoos is following me on Twitter now, and she smokes.
Okay, shut up. Dude,
I think what...
No, hold on. Let me get this out real quick.
Okay.
Because, Milan mentioned it, and I want to actually transition to that, because I don't think there's too much to talk about in costumes, but I'll let you go again, Steve, after I get this out.
Oh, it wasn't about costumes, but...
Okay, so Milan talking about, like, the shameful boners, which, you know, we find out more than we ever want to know about Milan every single episode of Geeky Gentleman.
Like, I am Alan, like, if you want your character...
No, dude.
I was gonna make an Alan Moore joke. He
I don't care.
Okay, fine, come on.
I was watching this with Haley, and she'd invited a friend over, and so we're watching it together and everything. And, like, all the sex scenes and, like, a lot of the like, nudity and stuff in this is becoming really apparent, and Haley just goes, yeah, my mom and I watched this when I was young. I didn't remember half of this stuff. It's like, this is really, like, really HBO Skinamax kind of movie when you think about it.
Yeah.
I think Francis Ford Coppola basically just kind of made a porno, but made it artsy enough that people totally bought into it.
Definitely. Say, was your friend hot?
What?
I mean, like, you said you and 2 girls watched this film together. Did you get any?
Shut the fuck up.
Oh, come now. We're all dudes here.
Anyway.
You know? Okay, fine. Feminism, there we go. Everything's better.
I think in a lot of respects, the sex stuff is artsy. It's just if they didn't do it as much as they did, it would have worked so much better. Because, yeah, they do hit you over the head with what they're trying to say about sexual repression. And
yeah.
It's not even a weird meta thing of you overdo it to have it have a meaning like American Psycho would. It really is just overdone.
Yeah. Yeah, I agree. Like I said, subtlety is the one thing you cannot say about this movie.
No, it's nowhere near subtle. But I feel like it's also it's not trying to be very subtle either. And
this movie is about as subtle as a streaker.
I think what we're getting to, though, as we discuss it, is I think if you never read the book and you just watched this movie on its own merits, you probably would have liked it better.
No, I think that you'd fall asleep.
I don't know, because you keep bringing up the book to the point where I think, like, are you too attached to the book at certain aspects of this?
I don't know, like, I only read the book one time. It's just, I significantly enjoyed it, compared to the movie.
But, like,
and
not
like
comparing it to the movie, but just the movie on its own merits. I think it...
No, I mean, I tried... Let me give you my, my process when it comes to, writing about a book or a movie or something that has a book and a movie like this.
Mm-hmm.
What I'll usually do is I'll watch the movie first, because 9 times out of 10, I enjoy the movie much more than the book. That happens significantly often. There's only 2 exceptions to that, and this is one of them. So I watched the movie, and I got about halfway through it and fell asleep. And then I started reading the book, and I got through the book, switching between reading and audiobook just to get through, because there was so much of it. And it has its pacing issues, but I was able to get through it all. And then I was able to watch the movie all the way through, and started getting annoyed at all the, fucking problems. That being said, I think this movie just doesn't work on its own. I think it needs the book, and once you've read the book, it doesn't work. Because it's not the book. That's my overall big point that I guess I keep going back to for this.
Okay, I don't want to like talk about that aspect all day, but I don't think it work. I don't think it was relegated to that level. I think it does work on its own very well. It's the book. It's just that the book is better.
Okay, that's fair enough. How about you, Milan? Where do you stand in all this?
You know,
Do you think the movie works on its own?
Mystery Incorporated, this new Scooby-Doo cartoon, turns Fred into a crack baby.
What the fuck did you just...
It's actually not very new, but he does.
Where the fuck did that even come from?
It does, like...
Did you not get the question?
Can you repeat it, please? I was somewhere else. I was on Tumblr. So...
Get the fuck off Tumblr!
Oh my god! Thank you! Thank you, Ian! Oh, thank you so much. What was the question again?
Fuck it, never mind. I'm gonna drop you from the call.
I'm sorry. Look, okay, seriously though.
Do you think that the movie warrants its own existence, I guess?
Well, of course
Or validates it.
Well, of course it does. Like, the type of shit that goes on in this fucking flick validates its own existence tenfold every time you watch it. I mean, which movie can you possibly point to that you have Hannibal Lecter as Van Helsing, and you have Commissioner Gordon as Dracula? And
see, I guess it's weird. Milan seemed to like come around to liking the movie more, if for no other reason than werewolf sex.
No, the thing is, I
I've
appreciate
kind of
this
come
movie.
around to like going between kind of a middle road to just not liking it more, and Steve's kind of held his ground.
The thing is, as a Dracula adaptation, as straight from the book, I see it as complete shit. Like, but as a thing on itself, just, you know, sit back, watch it with your brother while high. As a movie like that, it's fucking amazing. It's one of those...
See, I guess my biggest problem with it is I cannot separate it from the book because it's trying too hard to be the book.
Well, yeah,
And
I guess that's the point I was getting at, is that if you could separate from the book, I think it does work.
Yeah, but I can't separate it from the book because it's trying hard to be the book and it's not.
I don't think it's trying as hard as you think it is, though. Because I know it's called Bram Stoker's Dracula, and that's a stupid move, but a lot of the reason that that's there is because they wanted to sell the movie. But...
Well, no, but I mean, dude, they're adapting so much of the story, they're just doing it wrong. And
well, I mean, they're adapting all that story, but they're shifting the focus of it quite a bit.
Yeah, and that's the part that makes it a problem. I feel like it's trying to be the book in some ways, but trying to do its own thing. It's like a bad fanfic that's just trying to...
You hit
like
the nail on the head.
Sequelitis.
You hit the nail on the head. Thank you. That's it. The video is over. Ian's got it. That's
I think a good comparison to this might be American Psycho, in that the book and the movie are very similar, but the movie handles everything the book does from a very different angle to make it more manageable.
Yeah, but it does it a lot better because it's trying to be its own thing entirely, and it's trying to be a lot more ambiguous than the book. This is trying to be the book, but it's trying to be not ambiguous. It's trying to be very definitive, whereas the book was subtle. American Psycho is anything but subtle, but the movie has its subtleties and its ambiguities to it.
No, but like so does this. There's aspects of this movie that still warrant its existence that are outside of the book, and they do work on their level. Like I keep saying, Dracula's character is far more fleshed out in here than he is in the book, and part of the problem with the way it's
Well, it's because they create a whole new character.
Yeah, and I think that works. I think the Dracula of this movie does work. I don't think he's the generic Anne Rice character we mentioned earlier. I think he has his own arc, and I think he is his own legitimately fascinating incarnation of the character.
Definitely.
I guess I can see that, but otherwise, I mean, I love Gary Oldman, but I just can't get far enough behind it.
Okay. It's not a great movie, and there's a lot of problems, and part of the reason I'm sticking my ground here is because you guys both really don't like it, and I feel like to get a better
I like
balance...
it. I don't hate it that much. You know, I talk a lot of shit, but I found it to be a reasonably entertaining movie. Actually, it's really entertaining.
Well, like, that's the thing that's crazy about this. I knew this was going to be a good situation because Milan hated it, and you liked it, and I was in the middle, and now Steve's in the middle, I hate it, and Milan kind of likes it.
I mean, I was always kind of in the middle. It's just the fact of, as far as the discussions go, you guys, everything I like about the movie, you guys don't like. So I feel like there has a point where I need to defend it in certain ways, and you guys need to attack it in certain ways, so we cover all the bases with this movie.
definitely.
No, I agree. This was a very good discussion about the movie. Is there anything else that anyone wanted to make sure we got out about it?
It's beautifully shot. The colors, like, it actually incorporates a thing that, you know, modern day cinema doesn't use. It uses color in scenes.
You say this about any movie that just has color in it, so I don't think your argument works if you're like, oh, modern cinema doesn't have color, but like anytime you like a movie, it's like, oh, this movie has colors in it.
Yes, because modern day cinema doesn't have colors. This is back from, 1996 or something? 1992. Yeah, this is back when... This movie came out the year I was conceived. The year I...
This movie was Francis Ford Coppola's attempt to grasp the birth of Milan.
Yes,
and communicate it to a generation.
Yeah, the same thing can be said with the Batman the Animated Series, bitch. So yeah. It is because of me coming out of my mom's vagina that Batman...
That we needed Batman.
Yeah, exactly. Batman is the hero the world deserves... the hero... I don't know. Fuck.
Batman's the hero the world needed, but not the one it deserved.
Yeah, what it got was me. So bend over and shut up and don't look me in the eye.
What was that? Archer. The first season of Archer has probably the greatest, ending line of all time. So, Lana, the black spy character, has offered to have sex with anyone in the office for $100. And so Pam, the fat, Wisconsin white girl character, pays her. And she goes, alright, fine, but no talking. She goes, I won't tell anyone. She goes, oh no, honey, I meant during, and then it goes credits. And that's what you made me think of right there.
Mm-hmm. That's pretty much that sounds like my first sexual experience, actually.
I feel so bad for you.
Just a black girl that tells me not to look at her, not to look in her eyes. Just don't look at me. I'm like, okay, ma'am.
Like I said, every episode of Geeky Gentleman, we find out more and more about Milan's life.
And definitely.
We really need to.
Yeah. That's the thing. I'm going to make that Alan Moore joke. Now look, if you want your character, right, to be completely a whole, everyone has got a sexual part of their world, of their personality, right? So I think making superheroes fuck on the panel will help you appreciate them more as humans, because each characters, they also have a sexual dimension, right? So sex in comic books is alright, and I completely agree. As funny and as ridiculous as Alan Moore is, he's still fucking Alan Moore. You can't deny this.
Oh no, he's a genius. He's just an asshole.
Yes. But most geniuses aren't they?
Yeah, that's fair.
Well,
it's weird. Alan Moore is all but the shut-in that fucking J.D. Salinger or Bill Watterson is. Bill Watterson's still alive.
Who the hell is Bill Watterson?
Calvin and Hobbes.
Oh, him. Oh, dude.
Yeah, he's got the whole J.D. Salinger thing of just he lives out in the middle of nowhere and he doesn't do public appearances or anything.
Yeah, it's kind of like the Steve Ditko, to use a comic book reference.
Yeah. Mm-hmm. I don't know if Bill Watterson's an asshole like Alan Moore.
No, Bill Watterson isn't really an asshole. He's just kind of shy, I guess would be the word.
What's the name of the guy? Emerson. So, I think Emerson was the drunk. I mean, it's an American writer, so, throw a dart. So Emerson, infamous drunk, drank all the fucking time. And on the day of his daughter's high school graduation, is the only time she ever asks him not to be drunk. And you know what he says to her?
Yeah.
No one remembers Shakespeare's Child.
Oh, what?
And then he started drinking.
What? What? That's a bad motherfucker right there. Not a bad motherfucker, but a bad motherfucker. You know what I'm saying?
No.
That's dude, that's
You're not using words properly.
Well, you understand what I mean in spirit, right?
Yeah, I gotcha.
But that's I wanted to say that's something Ian would say to me, but I'm like...
That's too mean, isn't it?
No, maybe after, like, you're 20... How old are you? 23 now?
Yeah.
Yeah, you're 23, but maybe, like, let the hammer of the world beat you a little bit longer. A few more decades under the grinding stone. Maybe you'll be worn away to half the venom that motherfucker possesses. Holy shit. I mean,
like,
fuck.
Just fucking asshole writers sometimes. Like, I thought about picking it as a topic where we just discuss whether or not the writer, like, as a person, or, like, Steve and I are actually talking about this before we started the video.
Sure we were.
The actor, like, when you have an actor that you don't like, so you can't like their stuff. And it's kind of similar to The Author's Dead, but I think there's a different element to it.
There's a quote somewhere. Like, somebody said something. It's a quote, but I can't remember who's it from. But essentially, like, if you know your artist is not an asshole, then you know he's not a good writer. That means, like, if the writer isn't an asshole, what he has to write isn't interesting, or something along that line of thought. You know what I'm saying?
I don't think so at all, because there's some really cool guy writers.
Well, yeah, definitely. Yeah.
Hemingway was just Hemingway was drunk too, but he was a cool dude.
Yeah.
Like one of my favorite Hemingway quotes: "While sober, do what you said you do." Wait, no. Yeah, while sober, do what you said you do while you were drunk. That'll teach you to keep your mouth shut.
Stark was kind of like that. Stark was a really nice guy and a good writer.
Yeah.
No, wait, actually, Sartre couldn't write character for shit.
No, but his ideas were fascinating, though.
Yeah, and that's why... Yeah, I agree. Anyway, I don't want to talk existentialism right now. We'll never shut up.
We need to do a video on that. Anyway.
We need to do a video called Existentialism.
Yeah,
We'll get 2 views, and we'll get 3 views. It'll be me, Steve, and Alex.
No, and me, and, like, you guys are just having this long, interesting conversation, and I'm just fucking making dick jokes about Sartre. I'm like, hey, penis. That's
T.S. Eliot wasn't really a dick, was he?
I don't know.
Anyway, I guess back to this a little bit.
If you want, I mean, I'm feeling pretty comfortable wrapping up, unless there was something else you wanted to bring up real quick.
No, that's kind of what I wanted to say. Is like, did we want to like get into our final maybe one word thoughts, or not one word, but maybe one sentence?
Yeah, I think the thought I came to throughout this is that it's just, and I'm sorry to keep repeating myself, but it's just I'm trying to make it as clear as I can. I'm in thesis statement mode, I suppose. Is that this movie doesn't work because it's attempting to be like the book, but it's adapting the wrong things from the book, and therefore you might as well just read the book, because the movie isn't worthwhile on its own without reading the book, and once you read the book, it doesn't work anymore, because it's not the book. And that's a really bad thesis statement, but that's all I got.
Well, the good thing is this isn't an essay.
Yeah. Milan, how about you? Final thoughts?
It's a fun movie. Like, I enjoyed it quite a bit. It's one of those movies that it turns the whole floppy cuffed Dracula, the whole floppy cuffed poet thing. It makes goth kids cool in a fun way. It's like the fun stoner goth chick, It's just like, fuck, man, you gotta fucking smoke blunts and read fucking Hemingway or dark poetry or whatever. I'm like, neat.
Gotcha.
Yeah, she doesn't exist. She doesn't exist. She exists. Like, it's really just the
Come on, quit.
It's only like the alternative girl version of me. Like, if I had a vagina, right, and actually looked hot.
Oh my god.
I'd be like this
Shut the fuck
awesome.
up.
Like, shut up.
Just shut the
Let
fuck
me
up.
talk about my transgender fantasies, you dick. Fuck.
No.
You fucking. What was the Tumblrism? Fucking hetero? No. Whatever. I would be an awesome high stoner comic book loving goth chick. I would be the best girlfriend ever.
And once again, we find out more than we ever wanted to know about Milan.
Definitely. If you're like, fuck yeah, dude, I'll be an awesome girlfriend.
Okay. Anyway, Steve, how about you?
It's not a perfect movie. It clearly has its issues and its areas and traps that it falls into. But I think this movie is really worth a watch because its Dracula is fascinating in his own right, and the directing is really the highlight of it.
Okay. I think I'm going to actually add a second final thought that Milan gave me, and I guess I've come to throughout this video. This movie I'm going to watch at least one more time. I mean, I own it, so why not? I'm going to watch this movie at least one more time at some point in the future, trying not to think of it as Bram Stoker's Dracula, but as its own independent thing, and see if it can work or not. But I don't think it will. Because the pacing's from Bram Stoker's Dracula. I mean, they adapted the pacing well. Give them that. It's like the X-Men. It's like Days of Future Past. They adapted the continuity issues really well in Days of Future Past.
Definitely.
You gotta give them that. Anyway.
I fucking love
All right, so let's go ahead and do a score then. Milan, I'm most curious about you, so go ahead and start out.
I give this movie 4.5 tastefully exposed breasts out of 5.
Steve.
All right, I'm gonna give it a 2.5 out of 5. Ridiculous wall crawling old women.
Yeah.
Okay, I'm gonna give it. God, I hate to go this low because you did make some good arguments, Steve. But the more you argued with me, the more I just couldn't. I saw problems in it, I suppose.
That's cool.
I'm gonna have to give this a 1 out of 5, and I think this might be the second lowest score I've ever given on Geeky Gentleman. I'm gonna give it a 1 out of 5.
Damn.
1 out of 5 vampire sacrificed babies.
That's another thing.
You know
Fucking
what?
Dracula kills babies. Like, he kills
We
babies.
watched Dead Alive. And that had a zombie baby. Is anyone else disappointed that there were no vampire babies in this movie?
I was very disappointed with that. Yeah.
You know
with
what?
Buffy vampire faces.
You know what would be weird? Like, does a baby mature? Like, if there's a baby vampire, would it have...
Well, like in an interview with a vampire, the girl gets bitten. She never ages past, 5.
Yeah, but the thing is, she, ages, like, psychologically speaking. But if you're a baby and you get bitten, do you stay the same, like, the brain doesn't develop. Like, the baby is a baby because its brain isn't fully developed. So if you're a vampire forever, do you stay, you get an immortal baby, or do you just get an old man trapped in a baby's body?
That's a really interesting question, and I want to see someone actually do that.
Yeah, that is.
I know in Dylan Dog they gave like probably one of the most interesting vampire lore things where they threw a vampire in they buried a vampire alive, and like the vampire that was doing it to him said, "You're gonna feel the worms eat your brain, it's like, and you're gonna live through it." Like, holy shit.
We need to do Dylan Dog discussion at some point, because that's a better movie than most people give it credit for.
It's an interesting movie. It breaks apart at the end, but it's definitely...
it totally degenerates, but it's worth a watch.
If nothing else, than to see Brandon Roth as a good part and not Ray Palmer. Anyway.
He's awesome as Ray Palmer.
Whoa,
He is.
Brandon Routh is Ray Palmer?
Yeah.
Where?
Arrow.
He's awesome.
Really? Brandon Routh, Superman?
Yeah.
Great. Oh,
Brandon Routh is the Jimmy Carter of Superman actors, man.
Really? Yeah. Like, you know what? I don't get that joke. Explain why it's funny.
You should put that on a t-shirt.
I want that to be on a t-shirt, but it's fantastic. Jimmy Carter was extremely unlucky, and everything that he did turned to shit. Case in point, Brandon Routh's Superman Returns. But everything since then that Jimmy Carter has done has been a stepping stone in the right direction. He's become more popular and better after the highest seat in the U.S. Same with Brandon Routh. He became the most famous fictional character of modern time, and everything he did after that was better.
Well, the thing is with that, you could say the same thing about every Superman actor. I mean...
No, Christopher Reeve never got as good as Superman again.
George Reeve never got as good as Superman. Dean Cain was always kind of average.
I mean, I guess I have high hopes for Henry Cavill, but
yeah. No, I mean, like, there's a curse in Hollywood. Like, if you play Superman, your career is essentially over.
Not if you're Brandon Routh, evidently.
Oh yeah, because Mickey, Brandon Routh is fucking Ray Palmer, the Atom on Arrow.
He's fucking awesome as Ray Palmer. Anyway,
he's
Ian, what are we doing next time?
Like, one thing about Brandon Routh, he's like, I was fucking flipping through channels while high. And I came across, like, on the TV, we were playing Superman Returns.
Does it matter to the story that you're high?
Yeah, well, it does, because I'm sitting there, and the fucking airplane scene from Superman Returns fucking starts playing, and I'm like, I watched that whole scene. Yes, and the second that scene was over, I turned off the TV and went read a book.
That's the only scene in that movie that's so good.
It is. It's the perfect Superman scene. That's in that entire movie.
You know what else is actually really good from that movie?
Sure.
One of the trailers where it has Marlon Brando's voiceover. Basically where he says that you'll be Jesus. It's a really good trailer.
Yeah. It's a lot like Man of Steel in that, right? Where the trailers made the movie better than it was.
I don't know if I'd say that, but okay.
Yeah, I mean, Man of Steel, I like Man of Steel, I really do. If you don't like it, whatever. It has its problems, but, whatever. I still like it.
The trailer certainly did make it out to be something that it wasn't, though.
Yeah, fair enough.
Yeah.
Okay, anyway, So, Steve, go ahead and ask me that question again.
Okay, Ian, what are we doing next time?
Fuck you, Steve. I don't have to tell you a goddamn thing.
All right,
no, sorry.
You too.
There we go. The fuck is? Oh my God, Yoko is near.
Anyway, no. Next week, I had this in mind. I knew Milan would pick something ridiculous and over the top and fucking batshit insane, and he did. So we reviewed Dead Alive, and I had a feeling that Steve would pick something kind of intellectual, and he almost didn't, but he ended up going with something that was more intellectually horrific. So we just reviewed Dracula, Bram Stoker's Dracula, which is not at all Bram Stoker's Dracula. Did we mention
Bram Stoker?
Yeah. So we reviewed Dracula, and I thought I'd go for something, I had this in my mind, and I've been wanting to rewatch this movie for a while, just because it's stuck with me for so many years, even though I've only seen it once. So we're going to review something that's both grotesque, but I think still intellectually fascinating. And that is 1986's The Fly, starring Jeff Goldblum.
Never seen that one.
Go Jeff Goldblum.
You're in for a treat.
Oh, yes, you are. The first time is it's an interesting experience.
Yeah.
Fresh
Don't look up
Goldblum.
anything. Do not look up anything about this movie before watching it, okay?
Fine.
Yes.
But I know a little bit about it, but not that much. You know, it's like Stephen Lynch, isn't it?
I don't know.
Lynch something. Anyway, but dude, Goldblum is a fish man. He's a fucking Lovecraftian inbred fish person. That's like his eyes are so Jewish, but wide and watery. He's a fish man. What is he? What is he racially? I'm confused.
I don't know.
Okay, we'll find out during The Fly then.
I think I'll try to find time to read the short story as well.
Me too.
Oh, I didn't even realize it was based off short story. Cool.
Mm-hmm.
Anyway, so yeah, we'll be reviewing The Fly next week. On Geeky Gentleman Horror Movie Month.
We should do Christmas movie month too.
Oh yeah.
Shit, my bad. Hold on.
Fucking Grudge, shut up. Shut up.
You can do that almost too well. That's like a lawnmower.
Anyway,
yeah.
So yeah, next non-stop because it's cutting out the audio.
Okay.
Otherwise, it would go. Anyway, so next week we'll be doing The Fly. I'm excited for that. That's a movie I've been wanting to rewatch for a while.
Yes, it's gonna be fascinating.
Yep, there's some scenes in that movie that really stick with me.
As they should.
Might even have nightmares about it. I don't know. We'll see.
I'm gonna watch it while high.
No, seriously, actually don't. I'm making a formal request. Do not.
Why?
Because it'll separate you from it, and I want you to experience it with all your faculties.
Yes. Well, actually, funny enough, I'm a lot more verbose and intellectual while high.
No. I don't want you intellectual. I want you to experience it fully and not be removed from it at all.
Okay, fine.
Mm-hmm. Preferably also at night.
No problem. I'll watch it with my little brother.
Okay, cool. And Steve, we don't usually do, I don't think we'll do a Christmas movie month, but we usually do a commentary.
Oh, cool, okay.
Christmas movie commentary, and we'll let you pick this year unless Milan wanted to for some reason.
Okay. I love holiday movies, so it's going to be fun.
Yeah.
Try to pick something kind of bad.
Yes, of course, because that's what Christmas is great for.
Definitely.
Anyway. So yeah, next week we'll be discussing The Fly. I've said that 6 times. So anyway, everyone, thank you for listening to this review of Dracula. I had a really good... This is a great video, guys. Really great conversation. Anyway, until next time, I'm the Philosopher.
I'm the Madman. Oh,
sorry. I wasn't sure.
Again?
You go ahead.
You broke this, Steve. You broke us. You fucking Judas with your coming in too strong. God damn. I'm the madman, Stephen.
Okay, and I am the politician, madman.
And we are your geeky gentlemen, and we will be discussing things.